Yo, what's going on, everybody? It's your boy Marshall live, and I am live. And in this video, I want to share with you the three biggest takeaways from my 30s. I'm 41 right now. And as you can see in the caption of this video, it's day one of starting over again. So if you're in your 40s, I mean, hell, you don't even have to be in your 40s, but especially if you're a dude in your 40s and you are at a point in your life where you're starting over, this is definitely going to apply to you. Because the chances are that one of the three biggest takeaways that I learned in my 30s is still going to apply to you if you haven't overcome it, if you haven't figured it out yet. So the first thing I want you to do is do me a favor. It doesn't matter if you're watching this live or on replay, give me a like or give me a love right now. Just bang on that thing for a second, please. You guys know the mission. The mission is to empower more men to step up and take back control of their life, to give it to Jesus Christ and to step into their power and their purpose. On this channel, unfortunately, the main theme for a long time has been narcissistic abuse. So a lot of us men that are gathered here are men who are victims of narcissistic abuse or who have been through something traumatic. And a lot of us men here, the reason that happened is because it stems from CPTSD, complex post-traumatic stress disorder, which is a whole myriad of other things that come with it, right? Mainly codependent attachment. I'm on my morning walk, but playing Frogger here real quick. Oh my God, I just realized Frogger. Who's even going to remember that reference before too long? If you're in your 40s, dude, definitely give me a like or give me a love. Because we out here trying to make it work. So this is the point. A lot of us are trying to heal from this thing. And the reason I want to share this is because my life and everything I've experienced, the success I've had and the massive failures I've had, have all led me to this point, which, okay, I know that's like very cliche, but I want to share with you why this is important. Because all of these things my entire life that I thought were going to bring me so much joy and happiness and success, like all these things that I thought were going to change me and matter and fulfill me, like every single one of them, from being the broken little boy that grew up on a farm that got himself into a crazy dangerous lifestyle, that then pulled himself out of it, built a business, only to see that none of it matters, to fail, to get the family, to fail, to get all the views, to fail, to be here making this live, going, all right, here we go. It's day one of starting over again. And so the value of this is not me trying to tell you what to do, bro. Like, if I've learned anything the last year and a half of coming to Christ, it's that, dude, I can't do nothing for you guys. And I don't say that disrespectfully or dismissing. It's just like, I cannot make anybody do anything. I can't coach anybody to do anything. I can barely consult anybody to do anything. And not because I'm not like capable. I'm saying us as human beings, like the only person that has any control over anything at all is God. Like I'm on my morning walk, right? Every single day, if you follow me, if you guys watch my stories, or if you guys know my story, since the whole N.A.R.C thing started, every single morning or every single day at least, I go for a 4-mile walk every day. I never miss. One of the best things I've ever done for my mental health. I don't run, no cardio, nothing like that. I lift weights, I bang burpees, and I go for a 4-mile walk every day. And I eat in a deficit, but we'll talk about that shit later. The point of it is that I'm realizing there's absolutely nothing that I can do. And I'm explaining, I'm getting to something. Also, you should know at this point that if you're watching this on Facebook, we're probably not posting reels on this account at this point. We're just going live daily. So if you can't stay for the whole live, that's fine. Come back and rewatch it. If you like this kind of content, make sure you follow the page because I'm just going to go live daily sharing what I'm learning. But for the next 90 days, I'm going to document daily, just like this, going live. You guys can ask me anything you want along the way. But again, this is not me preaching at you because I'm realizing I can't tell you guys anything. I'm just going to share with you guys what works for me. But in order to do that, I want to give us context for day one, okay? So yeah, here I am, day one, starting over again. I'm not going to go all the way into the whole story because it doesn't matter. The second thing I want to say real quick before I tell you these three things is I want you guys to understand how I teach. I've been coaching, consulting, training, speaking since 2014. I've been doing speaking training full-time since 2016. And I've been running my company, Top Paid Speaker, full-time since 2017. The reason this matters is not because of me. This has nothing to do with me. What I tell people, every single person that comes to my event, on day one, the very first thing that I've told every single one of them for years is this is my story but it's not a story about me. This is a story about you. And where do you see yourself in my story? Our details are different, but the emotions, the things we experience are the same. So why I'm telling you this, for the next 90 days, wherever you're coming in and jumping in, what I want to show you guys is how to build a personal brand from your telephone, okay? Last year in 2025, my channel did over 1 billion views on Facebook and Instagram. Over 1 billion views from videos where I didn't speak one word. You understand? I simply took a season of my life. I learned how to create content around it. And then I posted it 3 to 4 times a day, every single day, like it was my second job. And 1 year later, we have 1 billion views and 300,000 followers, highly engaged. That trust me. Like, what the heck? What are we even talking about? The reason I'm sharing with you is, again, it's not because I'm cool. I just fumbled across some things that I knew worked. And I want you guys to understand that in 2026, the most valuable thing that you can invest in is a personal brand. I have nothing to sell you. Like, I'm not setting you up to end this like, hey, yo, like, buy my like $3,000 course. No, bro, like, just listen. If you do what I share in these videos for the next 90 days and you just execute against it, you would literally never even have to talk to me. I wouldn't even have to know that you ever learned it from me. You could literally just go take what I'm doing and apply it to your life and go help more people. So, the mission has always been since day one. Well, when the mission became the mission, I was actually in, where was I at? What was that called? I was in Newport Beach, California. I had just invested in a mastermind. So I paid this entrepreneur dude who was a very successful speaker, event host, and a real estate investor. I paid him $25,000 to be one of 100 people who got to be in a mastermind for 1 year together. And at one of the mastermind events that was being held in Newport, he had a billionaire there. You guys can go look him up. The billionaire's name is Naveen Jain. He started a company called Viome. They have a company that's going to the moon, supposedly, right? That's neither here nor there. We can talk about that another time. But this Naveen Jain, he's a billionaire. And he's talking to us at this mastermind about how he wants to make disease optional. And so that's what they're doing. They're studying gut biome. But the point being is that he said something in that mastermind that day that changed my life forever. And what he asked us is, he said to all of us in that room that day, he said, what problem do you want to solve in the world? And I was like, oh my God, first thing that popped in my head was, if you guys know me, I want people to stop killing themselves. Like, I want attempted suicide. I want people to stop killing themselves. How do I solve that? He's like, whatever problem that you want to solve in the world, make a business out of the solution. Okay, pause. When that happened to me, first off, let's talk about the fact that how was I even in that room in the first place? Bro, I invested $25,000. I went to a weekend event that I was gifted tickets to because the event organizer saw me make a live video just like this one like 2 months earlier. And he was like, dude, I got to get this guy at my event. Front row tickets, $4,000 tickets, right up front row, most famous speakers in the world. I'm like, I'm already in entrepreneurship, but I'm trying to figure it out. And I'm like invigorated. I'm there with my girlfriend at the time. And the weekend ends and he just makes an invitation. Hey, if you want to apply to our mastermind, it's 25 grand. You got to go and apply. And you got to go through an interview process with all the people and blah, blah, blah. And so we do it. 5 credit cards. Okay. Again, I have nothing to say. I'm just telling you a real life story. 5 credit cards. It took 5 credit cards. Hey, how much room is on this one? Okay, swipe this one for $1,017.82. How much is on that? Like, literally, bro. Because if you're broke and you hear successful people go, you got to invest in yourself to make it happen. And you're going to have to probably put on a credit card or over leverage. When you're broke and cynical and skeptical, you hear scam, scam, scam. But when you start reading books and studying wealthy and successful people and how the principles of wealth work, you understand leverage. So for example, if you drive in your town and you see a strip mall with all those businesses in there, well, the business or the entrepreneurs, the developers who own that strip mall that all those people pay him for or her for, he didn't pay cash for that. He went out to a bank and he got a loan, or he went and got private investors, which is probably more likely, and he borrowed their money, paid that so it cash flows so he can pay back what he owned and then have profit. Again, I'm not telling you guys anything. I'm just telling you how this works. So the reason that broke people hear people who've had success go, you got to invest in yourself to have success. They're like, oh, that's a scam. But wealthy people understand that you can create leverage through good debt. I'm not going to preach about that right now either. I'm getting to a point of what we're doing here for the next 90 days. So I understood. I was like, okay, I know that with my skills and with my knowledge, I know that if I'm in the right rooms with the right people that have the right information, I know it's going to change my life. And that's why I made the $25,000 investment. So back to Naveen Jain, he tells us, hey, yo, whatever business or whatever problem you want to solve in the world, just make a solution out of the business. And it's like, oh my gosh, okay. I understood in that moment that if I wanted people to stop killing themselves, suicide was not the problem. That's the end product. The problem was all the things that led from the person, from the suicide back to like, what's happening, what's going on in their life. And so I literally for like a decade of my life dedicated myself to understanding why people do or don't do the things they do or don't do. And because of that, good morning, my friend. And because of that, I met a lot of great people and I made a lot of money along the way. And I've taught other people how to do that. Now, these are the three biggest takeaways and why I'm getting to this whole point. Again, I want to give context to what we're doing the next 90 days and why in the hell I have to start over again. Because if you're on this channel, you're almost, again, certainly here because of some traumatic shit or some addictive shit. Like, your life has not been easy. That's why you resonate with me. That's why we're relatable. Lesson number 1, write this down somewhere. A good story is relatable. Understand, the only secret to storytelling is being able to elicit an emotion from the audience that makes them relate to you and trust you. So if you can develop that skill set, whether it's on stage or camera like this, it's the most valuable skill set you can ever have in your life. Some people look at my life right now, they're like, why do you put all your stuff out there that you're like broke and like live with your mom and don't have a car and stuff? I'm like, because I possess skills that I know are the most valuable skills in the world that have worked for me tenfold over. So when God says it's time for me to go back to work, I'll be able to pick up my hammer and my saw and go right back to work. Like, I'm not tripping about that. And so right now, which is actually Palm Sunday, blessed be to God, it's time to pick up the hammer and the saw. So the reason I'm telling you is this, is because if you're a man who's been something, or a woman too, right now is that and I said this in 2016 when I first started really seriously building my personal brand, and not many people listened to me then. Actually, Scott Hartman, what's up? Scott, one of my good friends, somebody I met online, somebody that applied some of the things that we've talked about before, and Scott can tell you for himself what applying his message and sharing that online has done for his life. Scott now speaks at recovery centers, churches, conferences, events, things like this, host meetups and things like this. He's written a book. He's been sober and clean. He's a sponsor. Like, he's married. Like, all these amazing things. He's turned his life around. Literally because he heard a message one day, and that message, God did something in his heart. Remember what Paul tells us? Paul tells us that I planted, Apollos watered, but God made it grow. And so what I'm sharing with you guys and why we're doing day 1 and why we're bringing focus back to what we're doing here overall is that Naveen Jain said, make a solution out of the business, or make a business out of the solution. And in that moment, I was like, oh my God, I know. I want to save 1 million lives that save 1 million lives with the power of vulnerability and storytelling. Like, I didn't come up with that. Literally, that just, boom, hit me like a lightning rod. Boom. Save 1 million lives that save 1 million lives with the power of vulnerability and storytelling. Me. I don't know Jesus or God. I'm at this point, I'm mocking Jesus and God. I think it's a ridiculous idea. Not God, Jesus in the Bible. I think it's a ridiculous idea at this point. But I'm like, oh my gosh, 1 million for 1 million, let's go. And so for the next year, I set out 1 million for 1 million. That became the mission. I'm on a mission to save 1 million lives and save 1 million lives, the power of vulnerability and storytelling. If you want to learn how to tell your story, hit me up, and I'll show you how to launch your speaking career in the next 30 days for absolutely free. Like, that's what I did, right? And I would go all around, free events, paid events, everything, speaking, sharing this message, your message, your message. Then one time I had an event in Mexico, Cancun. It doesn't matter. Cancun. It was in the Yucatan somewhere. I was speaking at an event in Mexico, a 7-day real estate investing event. So like these 7 to 10 figure earners would come out, and it's all about real estate investing. And then here's little old me who bought a social media course one time and then transformed his life. And I'm speaking to all these super wealthy people about storytelling. Crazy experience. But during that experience, it was like the middle of the week. I had already done my keynote and stuff. And I'm sitting by the pool and I'm talking to this younger girl. And she's asking me some questions about, hey, how would you market and promote this water thing, blah, 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 blah. And I just lay out this strategy, boom, right there for her. And she's like, all right, perfect. And it turns out that that lady, that girl, who's probably a lady by now, that young girl at the time, she was the owner of the largest virginized water source in all of South America. At the time, that water source watered like 3 million people, like 3 million people, families. And so with what we explained, she's like, you have no idea. We'll be able to raise enough money probably to double this or triple this. It was in that moment that I was like, oh, $1 million for $1 million is too small. Because literally, if I just helped her, like, there's my milli for $1 million right there. And in that moment, I was like, all right, here we go. $1 billion for $1 billion lives. Now let's get to the 3 things. This is important because I want to share with you guys. I want to set up the tension for you guys to realize, like, if you have a mission in your life, something big that God has put on your heart and in your mind, it's for you. That's for you. Don't let the devil pervert or pollute the fact that, like, oh, you're making it about yourself. You're not. What God wants and needs us to do is he wants to be close to us. But we can't be close to him because of our sin, because we're unworthy of that sin. I mean, our sin nature cannot be in the presence of his holiness. That's why Jesus Christ was sent. Today's Palm Sunday. Jesus Christ rides into Jerusalem today on a donkey, and everybody's celebrating, yelling, Hosanna, Hosanna, Hosanna. Everybody thinks it's the greatest time. These people are celebrating the Messiah has come. Yeshua HaMashiach is here. But Jesus the entire time knows that he's riding into his death. He knows that these same people that are celebrating him are about to betray him. So the only thing I'm saying is that thing, that mission, that purpose that God has put on your heart, it has a reason for it. And I'm going to get to that in a second. I didn't know this because I didn't know Jesus in the Bible. I only knew if I make enough money and help enough people, I can have the life I want. I only knew that if I made enough money and helped enough people, that would prove to everybody from my past that they were wrong about me and they shouldn't have hurt me. I knew that if I made enough money and helped enough people, that I would finally be seen as a good person. I knew that if I made enough money and helped enough people, I would finally be respected. I knew that if I made enough money and helped enough people, that people wouldn't be mean to me anymore. And they would see my heart and they would believe me. And so that's what I did. I set out. I made all the money. I helped all the people. I was like, a Billy for a Billy. Let's go. And off I ran, mad at the world. Set out to prove everybody in this town, Sterling, Illinois, that they're wrong. To show my dad, to show my stepdad, to show all these people. And it's exactly what I did. I went out and made a couple milli. Here, I want to be honest with you. There's something I started in a loop that I didn't close in the very beginning. One of the reasons I've been told that people love learning from me when they come to my events or they're in my masterminds or my inner circle is because of the way I teach. I tell people, listen to what I'm saying, but also take a step back and watch how I'm doing it. So that's what we're unpacking right now. This is day 91. For the last year and a half, I've built over 1 billion views and 300,000 followers from using very unique, strategized posting content strategically with a purpose and hacking the algorithm. Anybody can do this. There's multiple different ways to do it, but I did it the way that worked best for my niche. If you try to start off with talking head videos last year where you like just talking a short form, the algorithm wasn't pushing them yet. Now though, with AI coming in, AI content, and so many people producing and editing and all these things, like people are fatigued on that. People have been doing it for years. Creators have been doing that for years, and the audience and the users are fatigued on it. So there's something refreshing about somebody just pulling out their phone and just hitting record and sharing a quick 60-second message, sharing a quick 1 minute to 3 minute message. So now in 2026, it's actually way better than last year. And so what you're seeing is a shift in my content right now. You're seeing a shift. But the reason I'm documenting starting over is because I am starting over. I went from making a couple $1 million, and again, now back to what I was saying, the reason that people like listening to me and why and learning from me is because I say, listen to what I'm saying and also watch how I'm doing it. And I use the tactics on you, and then I tell you exactly the tactic I used on you, and then I give you the option if you're going to use it positively or negatively in your own life. That's with you and God. But what you heard me say, or what you often hear me say, like if you go to my bios right now, it says 5-time college dropout to $2 million in sales. That's true. That's 100% true. And you'd be like, so you're telling me you're a millionaire? I'm like, no, that's not what I said. What I said was, what's up, my brother? What I said is 5-time college dropout to $2 million in sales. I didn't say that I was a millionaire. Or I could say 5-time college dropout to 7-figure earner. The point being is you got to watch out online, because words matter. People are tricky, and framing matters. And the way I'm framing it up to you is true, but it's framed in a way to create authority and credibility. But it's kind of like, you know. And so that's why I'm always talking about the system I'm about to give to you guys right now that you can copy for the next 90 days, that you can use to build your own personal brand, and that you can leverage to start making at least $1,000 a month, getting paid just from views here on Meta. I'm going to tell you exactly how to do that. Stealing this strategy. But what I'm saying is I've never been a millionaire, but I have sold millions of dollars of my own product. Does that make sense? I was over leveraged because when I first learned about personal branding, I was watching a guy named Tai Lopez. And I learned, and I understood really quick. I didn't know I had autism at the time. I didn't know I had autism until I was 40. My autism, though, my pattern recognition picked up on what Tai was doing. I was watching this guy in 2015 go live on his phone every day, and he was just teaching. And then every so often he'd say, hey, if you want to learn how to do this, grab my course, 67 Steps, and learn the 67 steps that your mentor should have taught you. And he was always like blowing up and promoting mentorship. And I was like, holy crap. So you're telling me that this guy goes live every day, and then he gets other experts to come on this platform by going and visiting him in real life or interviewing them. And then people see him as credible and they buy information from him. I was like, game on. And that was the moment that I learned personal branding. So that brings us to your message, to launching Top Paid Speaker. Personal branding for speakers. Because I knew that I was a speaker. I knew that speakers needed help, and I knew there was a lot of money there. I knew that entrepreneurs and professionals wanted to get paid to share their story and message, and they wanted to make money from coaching and speaking, but they didn't know how to set it up. They're successful CEOs in their business or whatever, but they didn't know about that space. And so that's why people paid me a lot of money to learn how to do that. What I learned, and this is number one, what I learned in my 30s, is that no matter how much money you make, it's never going to make you happy. And I know that sounds cliche, but what I'm telling you is money doesn't make you or change you as a person. They say money changes a person. No, it does not. Money only exposes who you truly are. Money enhances who you already are. So when I was broke, I was partying all the time. I was a drug addict. I wasn't dealing with my trauma. I was fighting and violence. My relationships were terrible. I would burn everything down, self-destruct. I was like, I can see why people thought I was a narcissist for sure. But there's no amount of money that could have changed that. Only I could have changed that by giving my life to Jesus Christ. I didn't know that at the time. I was a Buddhist and Taoist and all the things. I did all the things. But none of it ever mattered. None of it ever stopped. And so the more money I made, the more money people I helped, yeah, it looked great. I was traveling the world. I was living on a 21st floor condo. Like, all the things. Life looked great, but I was still a drug addict. I was still destructive. I was still toxic. I was still violent. Like, none of that stuff changed. It only became worse. And then there was just more to hide until one day in 2019, I looked at my life. I had just hosted I hosted monthly events in San Diego, free monthly events, $1 million meetup strategy. Everybody should be doing it if you own a business or you're an entrepreneur. I was hosting one of my meetups. I finish it. I'm exhausted. I come upstairs into my condo with floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the Pacific Ocean, downtown San Diego. And I wanted to jump off my balcony. I had never been more miserable than I was in that moment, because I realized my whole entire life was manufactured and fake. I was only around people. Jesus actually has a parable that he kind of snaps at his disciples. It's not a parable. He kind of snaps at his disciples. Jesus at one point feeds 5,000 people with a couple of fish and a couple loaves of bread, famously, right? And so the next day Jesus goes to preach, and all these people show up and they want to be fed again. But Jesus doesn't have any food, and Jesus rebukes them. He's like, you only come to get fed right now, but I'm trying to teach you how to feed yourselves forever, right? Like, they're missing the point. And so what I'm saying is I realized, again, I didn't know this at the time because I'd never read the Bible and I didn't know Jesus. But at the time, at that night, I realized that people were just around me because they wanted to keep getting the scraps and learning how to take for themselves. I was a taker, so I was surrounded by takers. Even though I was giving always, and I was like selfless and sacrificing all the time, I was actually martyring, and I didn't know this at the time, I was actually martyring myself, hoping that somebody would believe me and love me and choose me and trust me and respect me. Surely now, you know, yeah, I get it. I used to be this broke little farm boy who was fat and pudgy and nobody liked, but now I'm top paid speaker. I've made $1 million, and I look at all my fancy stuff and look at all these thousands of testimonials, like, right? And still nobody cared. And so what I'm telling you is, number one, the biggest takeaway from my 30s is that there's literally no amount of money that's ever going to solve for how you feel. And I know, I'm telling you, I know you guys have heard that before, but maybe it's relatable right now, because I'm telling you guys, like, dude, I've made all the money. I came from broke. I've made all the money. And actually, I'm broke right now, but I'm happier than I've ever been when I was making all the money. So number one biggest takeaway is money's not going to change you. It's only going to enhance who you truly are. Number two, when I burnt down my business and my life, left my girlfriend of 5 years, and left San Diego, I never wanted to coach or speak again. I never wanted to be seen again. I never wanted to even talk to anybody again. So I left California, which I never thought I would ever do, and I moved to the mountains in San Diego, California. Sorry. I moved to the mountains in Montana. There's like a shady character walking my way in real life. And so I'm kind of trying to keep an eye on that, and also talk to you guys. But got to get the right hand free in case we got to bust out the blicky. Probably won't have to, though. Wouldn't that be crazy? I would toss the phone in the thing, because I don't want to be on camera doing that, you know what I mean? But give me a second. Hold on 1 second. I'll be good. What's up, man? But you know. Okay. Anyways, so the second thing that I learned is that once I did that, once I decided to burn down my life and burn down my business, I left San Diego and I went to Montana. I never wanted to be seen again. I'd never been to Montana. I moved into a cabin in the mountains, and that was it. I had money and I was just chilling. And that's where I got sober. That's where I met God. I didn't know Jesus yet, but that's where I met God, is out in nature, not in church, not in the Bible. I met God out in nature, out in the mountains of Montana. And, just high alert. In my life, I've been part of 3 active shooter situations. And there's just something about it that sticks with you, you know? We live in a crazy time, man. People are desperate right now. You never know. It's not a judgment. It's just a reality. Like, and it's only going to get worse from here. The Bible tells us that. And if you recognize the pattern, like, you get it. Like, it doesn't go back to normal. It literally never gets better from here. It only gets worse from here, which is why you need to repent and give your life to Jesus Christ. You don't want to be here for how it ends. Trust me. And plus, dude, you don't want to die. You want to die? Bro, do you want to die? I don't want to die. Just bump that. I'm done. I mean, this life is whatever, bro. Like, I'm just going to proclaim the gospel until he calls me home. But I'm trying to live forever, homie. That's why I chose Jesus. I ride for the Lord. You know what I'm saying? All right, back to what we're talking about. So I meet God out in Montana. I get sober, and I meet a woman. And more than anything in my entire life, you guys, I've only wanted to be a father and a husband. Nothing more. And I've wanted a dog for a really long time. I hadn't had a dog in like 17 years. I grew up on a farm with dogs. I love dogs. So I meet this lady. She's like 5 years older than me, and she's beautiful. She's hot. Yeah, I would say that. She's hot, smoking hot, right? I wouldn't be like, oh, you're so beautiful. Like, I'm like, damn, girl, you're hot, which is a difference, because the Jezebel spirit is hot. A woman of God is so beautiful that calling her hot would feel degrading, and it would cheapen her value. And so anyways, I meet this hot chick, and all of a sudden I find myself plunged into this relationship, and it's everything I thought that I wanted. It's the kids and the house and the dog, and it's all a fucking mess. And she's a mess, and she's toxic, and most of the time she's so cringe, it's hard to be around her, but she's smoking hot, and she keeps choosing me, and the sex is amazing, and I'm a simp. Yeah, I'm high performing and all these things, but I go out, you know, and I pine for the attention of a woman to validate me, because when money didn't do it, and status didn't do it, and travel didn't do it, and house didn't do it, surely this woman would do it. You know, this would validate me. This would make me feel something. And so I assumed the role. And I didn't do it on purpose. And I wasn't taken away from how I was actually showing up. But I assumed the role. And so the second biggest takeaway I realized in my 30s was I thought that being a father and a husband was going to be the thing that solved for who I wanted to be. I thought that identity was going to change my life. I thought that identity was going to save me. And so I put everything I had into being a father and a husband, and I resurrected top paid speaker from the ground, and off to the races I went. Started first weekend back, literally, you guys, after being broke and out of the game for 2 years, I decided to relaunch top paid speaker, and in the first event we did 50 grand. And we were off and running. I want you guys to understand something real quick. I teach entrepreneurs how to build systems to leverage one-to-many sales. That's what public speaking is. That's literally all it is. So please understand that if somebody has a business that's already making $1 million and they want to 2x, 3x, 4x that business, they come to me because they're already doing what they're doing, but they realize that by positioning themselves as a speaker, understand that being seen and perceived as a speaker in your space is the most authoritative thing that you can do for your personal brand. That's why I teach people top paid speaking. I don't say we're like top paid personal brand. No, because whatever topic or niche you're in, call yourself a speaker in that. And then when people go, what do you speak on? You say, oh, I speak on blah, 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 blah. I speak on narcissistic abuse. I speak on building personal brands. I speak on da, 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 da. I speak on homeschooling. I speak on fitness. I speak on whatever. Position yourself as a speaker. It's the most valuable thing that you can do for your personal brand. So anyways, I am speaking, and I lost my train of thought. Oh, so people come to me. I help them build their personal brand through speaking and hosting their own events. And they will, doubling or quadrupling, 5x in your revenue, 10x in your revenue is realistic. Because when you put that in there, it's rocket fuel. And so the reason that I've made my clients so much money is because of that, because they're already making money. And I go, dude, did you guys know you could do it like this? And they're like, bro, what? And then they go off and they make a bunch of money. And so now here I am. I resurrect top paid speaker, 50 grand, the first event back, and then boom, 100K weekend the next one. And that's what I'm telling you. When somebody pays me, if they're making $1 million, and I say, hey, yo, it's $36,000 for 90 days of one-on-one coaching, they go, where do I wire the money? If you already make $1 million, would you spend 36 grand to learn how to make $5 million? You would. That's why I make so much money. So think about it. The system is like this. I teach one-to-many sales, which is what I learned from Ty Lopez. Build a platform. So social media, this phone is a platform. On Instagram, this is the kind of shit you're going to want to write down. On Instagram, I'm going to share short form reels. Now, this is not the strategy for everybody. This only works for you if you have a message, if you have a story and you want to use that story to empower and inspire people, to save lives and to help transform them, then this is for you. If you see yourself as somebody who's a speaker and a coach and a trainer, speaker and a coach and a trainer and a leader, this strategy is for you. It'll work. If you're currently speaking, coaching, you should do this playbook with me for the next 90 days. You should just copy and paste exactly what I'm doing. You see this, you should go live after this. Day one, whatever your day one 90-day goal is. My 90-day goal is to make $10,000 to get back on the horse. What am I doing? I have been broke for too long. This is ridiculous. So understand that when you build a platform like this, I'm talking to you, but I'm also talking to thousands of people all at once with this one message. That's called one-to-many. And so when you sell one-to-many, I will do something like host a virtual event once a month. Free event. If you want to learn how to do what I do, I'm not telling you that. I'm saying this is how the system works. I will be doing this, but I'm telling you right now, I'm just using the playbook. Again, listen to what I'm doing and also watch how I'm doing it. So what happens is I'll use Instagram for short form content, quick hitters, hot takes, position myself as an expert, generating traffic. And over here, I'll just be going live, this long form content. Short form content is going to go out and find new people. Long form content like this is going to nurture my audience and create buyers. So the reason I'm telling you to do this is that you can recreate this for your personal brand. You optimize your bio on Instagram and Facebook. Remember, Facebook and Instagram are the same company, Meta. You link those accounts together and you set them to professional mode. Then what you're going to do is over on Instagram, 3 times a day, you're going to post a reel that's 60 seconds long or less on a specific topic that you talk about. If you do this 3 times a day for 90 days and you do not miss, and you went live even 1 time a week here on Facebook, and that's all you did, I would bet you that you're going to gain 10,000 followers at least across both platforms, and you're going to be making your first $1,000 a month on repeat, just getting paid for views. That's the whole point. I have nothing to sell you. If you watch no other videos from this point and you only take the strategy that I just gave you, you 100% will make money. And you could still work your full-time job. You could do this. You'll be getting $1,000 a month or so from Facebook, from Meta, right in your bank account, direct deposit once a month. And technically, you can call yourself a professional speaker because you are a paid speaker at that point. Understand that the mobile phone is a platform. It's a digital stage. And going live and standing on that digital stage is speaking, virtual speaking. I've been teaching virtual speaking since 2017. From 2017 to 2020, people made fun of me. Other professional speakers told me that's not real speaking. I was like, what do you mean it's not real speaking? And then 2020 hit and everybody's like, oh, virtual events. I'm like, I've been trying to tell you dumbasses forever. So the second thing I learned is that I went out and made a bunch of money. I got the family. And at the end of the day, I got myself into a narcissistic relationship, that's not the point. The point of it is that none of that brought me happiness. It didn't bring me fulfillment. It didn't validate me. It didn't make me think or feel or find any of the things that I thought it was going to do. Bro, when I say I did not understand, I went out and I built $1 million business the right way, ethically, and I did it through live video, so I couldn't fake it. I was live every single day, Marshall, live, every single day, building that business. And when I got to the top and I'm looking around, I'm like, this is what we all signed up for? This party sucks. And so when I got the family, I painted all the red flags green. I didn't understand. And I got myself into a mess. Because I thought that the family and being a dad and a father, or dad and a husband, I thought that was finally going to be the thing. But it wasn't. I was just as guilty and toxic as she was, just in 2 different ways, separate ends of the spectrum. So the second lesson I learned in my 30s is that any identity that you choose outside of Christ, bro, nothing outside of Christ is ever going to validate you. Not being rich, not being famous, not being well-respected and well-known, not being a dad, not being a husband. You go, oh no, bro, I'm super fulfilled in things being a husband. I'm super fulfilled being a dad. That's great. You should be. And ... If that is where it stops, then you're not thinking big enough, because God sits number 1. Jesus Christ is number 1. And if you are not on fire to minister to people, to live a life of service, it doesn't mean you can't get rich. It doesn't mean you can't live a private life. But if you are not on fire to help other people accomplish and succeed, then I would challenge you to say that you are not thinking and dreaming big enough. There's a parable, actually, in the book of Matthew 21:11 maybe. Ooh, that would be good. That'd be good. I'll have to come back and check that out. I wonder if I hit it. I think it's Matthew 21:11. Jesus rides into Jerusalem on Palm Sunday. I'm shooting this live on Palm Sunday. Jesus rides into Palm Sunday. You know what the parable literally right before that is? It's the parable of the 10 minas, or the 10 talents. And that parable is a master is going away on a trip. But the master gives each of his servants a talent. He gives one servant 5 talents, one servant 3 talents, and one servant 2 talents. And then he goes away, or 1 talent, whatever. And the first guy, he doubles the talents. So now he has 10. And the second servant, he doubles the talents. So now he has 6. But the third servant, man, he was so fearful that he might mess up and that his servant that his master would be mad at him, that he just went in the backyard and he buried his talent. And he covered it up so nobody could take it, so nobody could rob him, so that he wouldn't disappoint his master. But when the master came back, he went to the servant. He said, what have you done with what I gave you? And he said, I took your 5 and made him 10. He said, well done. Here's this 10 talents and here's more. What have you done? And he goes, I took your 3 talents and made him 6. And he goes, well done. Here's this and here's more. And then he goes to the last one. He goes, what have you done with the talent that I gave you? And he said, I buried it so I wouldn't lose it. And basically he rebukes him, and he takes that talent, he gives it to the other one, he casts that guy in the lake of fire. So I'm just reminding you, if I'm preaching at you right now and you're like, no, bro, I'm super fulfilled being a husband and father. That's great. God wired us for that. And also, I would say that you're not dreaming and thinking big enough, because he also put it on our heart to want to grow, to want to be prosperous, to want to be fruitful. Matthew 28:19 tells us to go forth and make disciples of every nation, baptizing them in the name of the Father and the Son and the Holy Spirit. And then he gives each of us tools and gifts according to what they each could handle. In that parable that I just talked about, the talents, he tells us that God gave each of us, or his master gave each of them a talent according to their ability. So lastly, I'll tell you this before we move on to the final point. I want you to understand that line. He gave each of his servants talents according to their abilities. So that means that everybody has a different ability. But just because somebody has a different ability doesn't make them better or worse. Because Paul tells us in Romans that we're each a separate part of one body of Christ, each with separate gifts and talents. And so I'm reminding you, you may see yourself as the person that only has maybe you think you have a one-star talent. And maybe you're looking at somebody like me with the gift of gab, and you're like, he has a 5-star talent. That's not fair. Bro, it doesn't matter. This is just my job. Your job may be to be the best mechanic in the world. And every time somebody comes to have their car served, or the way that you lead your team of mechanics, the way you guys do business, the way you show up in church, the way you donate in the community, like you live a life of Christ. And maybe that's how God wants to fish through your soul. Not everybody's meant to be a speaker, and that's fine. I've wrestled with this my whole life. So I'm just reminding you, I want to share that as we're building this personal brand. Do not judge yourself against what other people are doing. God has a purpose and a plan specifically for you, bro. And he tells us that whole thing right there in that line. He gave each of his servants ability or talents according to their ability. So if you have a 5-star talent, then be the best 5-star talent you can be. If you have a 3-star talent, then be the best 3-star talent you can be. And if you have a 1-star talent, be the best 1-star talent you can be. Because it's not by our works that we're saved. Understand that. Obedience and the will to serve is a wellspring that comes from the heart. And that only comes from transforming your mind, that we're renewed in the heart, that we're given a new heart in Christ. I'm not preaching at you. I'm just reminding you guys. That's how the whole thing works. So we're being weighed. It tells us in Proverbs that God weighs a man's heart, no matter what we say. And so it's not about being saved. Once saved, always saved, unless you turn and you renounce Christ. But I'm just reminding you, this identity. I thought that being rich and wealthy, I thought that making all the money was going to be the answer. It wasn't. It was cool, but it was also the most painful I've ever been. The weight of it will kill you. Not because it's not meant for man, but because it's not meant for man to hold without God. Second thing I learned is that being a father and a husband, second biggest takeaway from my 30s, is that being a husband and a father didn't validate me and fulfill me the way that I thought it would. It was the best job ever, and don't let me get started because I'll start crying. I don't miss her and the family. It's been like 18 months now. I don't know how long it's been, almost 2 years, something like that. I don't know. I don't miss her at all, like nothing like that. What I miss is the idea of what I had. That hurts. But, or rather, I earned this life. I had good women in my past that loved me, that wanted to be there and start a family with me, that wanted to have kids with me. And when I was 21, I forced my girlfriend to get an abortion. I think about that all the time. Maybe I'm cursed. I didn't know anything about it. I didn't know anything about it, you know. I've asked him for forgiveness so many times and repented. But I think about that all the time. I don't deserve to have a child. So I get it, you know. But still, that is one of the heaviest things on my heart. And even still, with that being said, that doesn't define me. And even if I never get that in this life, I'm not going to rebuke God and curse him, because that's so narrow-minded. That's me as a human being trying to judge and say what God should or shouldn't do, what he has planned for me is good or bad. How do I know, bro? I don't know what he has for planned for me is good or bad through that one tiny little thing I can see, which looks like me not getting to be a dad and a father in this lifetime. Dude, what he has planned for me after this life, who knows? Maybe that's the sacrifice and the obedience, and that's my cross. And maybe because I'm not out sleeping around, and because I've been celibate since my last relationship for like 700 and some days now, because I've been sober for 600 and some days now, like maybe that's the obedience. Because I don't feel like it matters, and it gets really frustrating to me. I'm like, I want to go to, like, I'll be honest, like sometimes I just like, What's the difference, founder? Why can't I just go slam a couple RBVs and do some bumps and that hot bartender? Like, what does it matter one night? And well, the reason it matters is because Jesus tells us in the Bible that a little yeast will leaven the whole loaf. Or Paul tells us that maybe. Just meaning that like a little bit of sin is going to keep growing and growing and growing and growing, right? And so the reason that I can't go do that, and the reason that we can't give into these temptations and sins, is because we'll break after time, and then we'll be right back into it. And that might be the time that the devil gets us. You never know. And so I'm just reminding you, money, identity, and anything else but Christ is not going to work for you. Lastly, for those of you that were going to build a personal brand with me, this is day one of starting over again. I'm starting over because I'm done with posting narcissistic content exclusively. I might post some here and there because it is part of my message and my mission, but I'm done doing that exclusively. I want to give you tools and resources that actually help you win in life. And so I want to remind you that whether it's narcissistic abuse, addiction, you used to be fat, but now you're fit, you went through divorce and you overcame it, like any challenge or anything that you've overcome has value to the former version of you who's also online right now. And so when you can learn to share that message as a mission, it changes the game. And that's what the whole point of this 90-day challenge is for me. I want to reframe and retrain my audience for who I am and what we're here to do. I spent the last year and a half building 1 billion views online. But I'm a digital marketer. I've been a digital marketer since 2014. I love marketing. At the essence of what I do, it all boils down to the fact that I'm a digital marketer. When I learned digital marketing, I was like, wait, what? You're telling me the world is my oyster and I can make money from my telephone in my hand, literally from anywhere in the world. I can travel anywhere. And you're telling me that the cooler places I travel, I can use for proof as long as I'm going live and leverage that to build my brand and get more views and help more people. So understand that like creating a personal brand online is going to give you so much freedom. Learning how to do digital marketing is going to give you so much freedom. The reason I say that is because I built my first business, top paid speaker, not my first business, my most successful business. I built it out of spite and rage from being hurt by my hometown, by my past life, by my dad's, by everything. And that's why when I got all the money, I wasn't feeling any better. I was even more consumed by the rage and the spite and the anger than I was ever before. That's why I burned it all down. I get to Montana. I get the family. I'm being abused. I don't understand it. And I lash back. I lash out. And all of a sudden, I've reverted to the worst version of me again. I was sober when I met her. I was like a year sober when I met her. Got back to drinking and doing drugs, doing blow with her, 4 or 5 nights a week. Kids in tow. Terrible. I don't deserve salvation. I don't deserve what Jesus gives me. I know that. Anyways. So what I'm learning here is I built that first business out of spite and rage. But at the essence, I'm just a digital marketer. That's how I was able to make millions of dollars because I understand it. I understand human emotion, like I said at the very beginning of this video. Now, what I do, I built 1 billion views and 300,000 followers out of spite and rage because of my ex. And it was awesome. We've helped so many people. But again, I only did that, I'm realizing now, because I'm good at digital marketing. But at the end of the day, right now, I have absolutely nothing. I have no money. I have no friends. And I don't say like, I don't have any friends. Like there's just, and I don't feel bad. And if I show emotions, this is who I really am. And it's just emotional to me. I don't have anybody in my life right now. I'm not pitying myself. Okay. So that's not what this is about. I'm just being real and raw. And the real and raw thing is this is the third thing that I've learned. This is the third thing I've learned in my 30s. Now I guess my 40s technically. It's that you can have all the followers and the views online that you want, and it's never going to make you feel the real deep connection that a real life in-person relationship can make you feel. I built my life online, and I'm not going to stop, and I'm not sorry for that, but I did with the wrong intention. I thought that if I bared my heart and helped a bunch of people and martyred myself, that everybody would love me and respect me and trust me. But to people who meet me in real life, it's been the complete opposite, because they don't follow the content online well enough or close enough to understand what we're really talking about here. And so what happens is they just see this frame of me. And so in my real life, I'm completely alone. I don't have anybody. And the people that were close to me, I pushed away because they were not the people that I wanted to be surrounded by. They're not bad people. You are the product of who you surround yourself with. And I would rather be alone than surrounded by people who make me become a lesser version of myself. And that's not a slight to anybody. I'm just saying that's how I view my life. And so the third takeaway from my 30s is, again, if you're chasing views and you think that having this massive following online is going to make you feel better, or being famous online is going to make you better, if anything, it's going to make you feel worse, because it's going to make you feel more disconnected from your real life than you've ever felt ever. And I used to say for years, man, I was like, when I was making $1 million, I was like, bro, if you gave me 1 million followers or 1 million views, you know how much money I would make? Except I've had more views than I've ever had before, and I made less money than ever before. And it's just proof that when you talk to everybody, you talk to nobody. That's the number one rule of sales. When you try to sell to everybody, you sell to nobody. Never be a generalist, always be a specialist. And I've known that. But I was just a generalist in the narcissistic abuse space. So people treated me like a generalist. They treated the page like a generalist. What I mean is, if you have, something wrong with your brain, are you going to go to your family practitioner, or are you going to go to a brain surgeon and get an opinion, right? You're going to go to the brain surgeon. Even though the brain surgeon is 10 times more expensive, you're like, bro, I have something wrong with my brain. I'm not going to my general practitioner who cups my balls and tells me to cough. I need a professional. Always a specialist, never a generalist. So we're going to wrap up day one with this. Day number one is I'm going to be posting on Instagram 3 times a day, talking head rate reels, me sharing something for 60 seconds or less, just like this, talking like this. So I have room up here so I can put a little doot doot. I'll add captions, and I'll do that 3 times a day for 90 days. I'm going to be documenting the journey over here live every single day for 90 days. Again, tune in when you can. Don't tune in at all. If this is the only one you watch, that's okay. I'm not looking for anything from you, because I understand that I can't make anybody do anything. I plant the seed, Apollos waters, God makes it grow. Understand? I understand that, okay? And again, I have just spent the last decade of my life living for other people's expectations. I thought if I made a bunch of money, it'd make me feel better. It didn't. Thought if I got the family, it'd make me feel better. It didn't. Thought that if I had a bunch of views, it'd make me feel better. It didn't. Turns out the only thing that makes ever made me feel better is Jesus Christ. That's where our peace, power, and purpose lie in. That's where prosperity and abundance flow from, is our submission and surrender to Jesus Christ, because that's how God works in us and through us, through the Holy Spirit, the advocate that God sent on behalf of Jesus. And so if you want to build a personal brand and you have a message to share, and you would love to make $1,000 to $3,000 a month online, then literally just do what I'm doing right here. Like, that's it. Like, just do this strategy and it will change your life. I promise you. If you want specific help, because you're like, oh, dude, I'm about this, bro. You're like, I'm about this. How do I do this? I can show up. I'm willing to speak in front of people. Good. Then what I want you to do is I want you to comment prompt on this video, and I'll message you personally a link so you can download a prompt for ChatGPT. You're literally just going to copy it, and you can go over to ChatGPT, free version or paid version, doesn't matter. You're going to paste it in there, and you're going to hit submit. And then ChatGPT is going to walk you through the entire process. You're copy and pasting 5 questions. And the 5 questions are going to help you build out your entire personal brand and something that you can sell, you personally, even if you've never done it before. Even if you're already selling, go plug your shit in and let ChatGPT refine it and make it better. Why am I cussing? I don't even cuss. So if you want to do this and you're willing to show up and take action, I have nothing for you. Like, I just laid out the whole plan. That's the plan. I just told you, pull out your phone, talk to the former version of you for 60 seconds, like you're FaceTime, like you're literally like you're on FaceTime with them. Hold the phone like this, leaving just enough room so there's space between up here so I can post my hook, right? That's it. Just like this, walking. Here's my hot take. Here's my hook. Blah, 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 blah. I'm just going to do that 3 times a day and post it on Instagram. And I'm going to go live here on Facebook. I'm going to go live every day. You can go live every day, a couple times a week, or just once a week. But the challenge is to go live once a week at least, post 3 times a day, every day on Instagram, cross-post it to Facebook. So that means that when you post it on Instagram, it automatically goes to Facebook. and watch what happens. And if you want to know exactly what steps to take, comment prompt, and I'll send you a link to copy and paste the prompt, and ChatGPT will build out your entire brand and something that you can sell in under 10 minutes. Then just apply what ChatGPT says to the framework that I just gave you. And in 90 days, reach out to me and let me know if you're making $1,000 a month yet for Meta for views, so I can screenshot that shit and use it for testimonial. Why am I cussing? Oh, the flesh in me is so terrible. Anyways, that's it. Day one, starting over. Right now, I'm broke. My van barely runs, but I love it. My sister gave it to me. I've never had a van before. Probably makes me look like a Chester, but I just love the van. I do love the van. Day one, starting over again. I'm 41. I'm single. I have no kids. I have a mental illness called ADHD. I've made $1 million before. I'm a 5-time college dropout, attempted suicide survivor, Guinness Book of World Record holder. Yep, done that. And I'm a servant to the Lord Savior, Jesus Christ. And together we're going to build some brands. So if you have a message, get online and share it. Remember, your message is your message. And we are on a journey to save 1 billion lives. We save 1 billion lives with the power of storytelling and vulnerability.